So once you've plugged this is the antiderivative. You're just gonna plug it into both scenarios right here and here. But in this one, you're gonna have 2, and in this one, you're gonna have -2 because it's the upper bound minus the lower bound, right? And so what you're gonna end up getting is 16 right here, 16 from 8 times 2 to the power of 2 divided by 2, 16 minus 2 to the 4th is 16 times 2 is 32 divided by 4 is 8. And you're going to get that on this side as well because a negative squared is a positive and a negative to the quadra cubed is a freaking positive as well. So it's going to be 16 minus 8. And you're going to end up with 8 minus 8, right? Which is, this is very difficult, but it's going to end up being 0. That was sarcasm if you couldn't tell. So this is like the moment x. And there's no point in even putting this fraction. So if you put 0, let's just do it. So step 3. Now we can put 0 over the integral. If we put 0 over this integral right here with 2, -2, over all that good stuff, 11 minus x squared minus 3x squared plus 3. This is all just going to end up being 0 anyway, so it's going to equal 0, okay? Which is why you don't even need to do it. But I did it just to show you. All right, with step 4 now, we got to calculate the y, or I guess the mx. Yeah, this stuff is weird, bro. Mx over m. And the formula is going to be the integral of b, well, a to b, and the integral from a to b, like with 1/2 times, and here's the part of this function that's different from the other. With this one, you're going to have f of x, but it's going to be the absolute value squared minus the absolute value of g of x squared as well. That's the difference between the y and the x. And then the m is going to be the exact same. We're going to have the bottom looking just like the bottom from the other m, which is the area. So it's going to be BA, and then f of x minus g of x. Now you want to plug in your numbers. We're going to start off with just the top half, the numerator, and that's going to be 2 to -2. Remember our bounds up here. We're going to place our bounds there, and then we're going to have a 1/2 times, put a bracket here, f of x squared. So 11 minus x squared, and then square all of this, minus x squared plus 3 squared. Enough squares for you. And then put a bracket behind this, and then dx. That should be about right. And then you're going to factor all this together. You're going to factor these two and then multiply them together. So to factor these two is going to take some time, but you're going to want to do FOIL on them. So what you're going to want to do is 11 minus x squared, and then 11 minus x squared, and then right next to it you're going to want to do x squared plus 3, x squared plus 3, just like that. And then you're going to want to FOIL them. Once you FOIL it all, you should end up with 121 minus 22x squared plus x to the 4th minus x to the 4th plus 6x squared plus 9. Now, if you were to take the parentheses out, these would all become negatives. I don't want to do that because it's just going to make it look funky. I just want to subtract it as is. So you're going to subtract like terms. You should end up with 112 minus 28x squared, because remember, you're subtracting these two from these two. And also, since you got that, you also remember that you have a 1/2. So multiply these by 1/2. 1/2. Distribute the 1/2 into both, and then you should end up having 56 minus 14x squared, and then place that back into the integral. Once you place them back into the integral, it should look like this, with the bounds being -2 to 2 and 56 minus 14x squared. This will end up equaling and you want to do the antiderivatives. Should have mentioned that. So you're going to want to take the antiderivatives. It's going to be end up being -14 x to the 3rd over 3 and minus, well, plus, I meant to say, plus 56x with 2 and -2 as the bounds. This, I just want to put in mini step 3. So when you take the antiderivatives, you should end up with -112 over 3 plus 112 minus 112 over 3, which is positive, minus 112. Because it's 56 times -2, it's going to become negative, right? When you take off the parentheses, this becomes negative, and then this becomes positive. So then all this adds up to 448 over 3. I assume I shouldn't explain how this happens, because you're not going to be given calculators on the final exam. So 448 over 3 is what you should get. So that's for the moment y. Well, no, that's for the y.